Batman has had one of the most recognizable rogues galleries in comics for decades, even though the modern DC universe consists of recognizable villains like the Joker, Two-Face, and Bane. The Dark Knight's roster of antagonists is constantly expanding, and Batman, one of the most significant recent Batman Who Laughs, one of the most significant recent additions to Batman's rogues gallery, has turned Batman's deepest fears into an existential threat to the DC multiverse. Hello folks, and welcome to a most intriguing video about the DC universe's newest and deadliest villain. Yes folks, we know that Batman is definitely the strongest superhero in the DCU, considering that he has more than enough backup plans to not only take out any villain known or unknown to him, but also the fact that he has ways to take out any other hero should they turn evil at some point. So it makes a lot of sense that when Batman turns evil, things pretty much haywire, and that's just what's happening in the DC universe right now. So let's start with that. Before we start our explanation, we have a small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. It's just a small click for you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Let's get started. Exploring the origins of Batman Who Laughs. To give you a background for Batman Who Laughs, we have to go back and look at the miniseries that has now become more of a proper series, Batman Metal. In this series we discover that before there was anything at all, before even the multiverse was there, the world of Forge was full of black matter, precious metals, and the World Forger, a celestial being who used the metals and minerals present in the cosmos to create entirely new universes. When he forged new universes, the successful ones were included in the area of worlds, while the failed ones were destroyed. However, Barbatos decided to take advantage of the situation and claim these broken worlds for himself. Instead of having them destroyed as failed worlds, he allowed them to grow and fall into chaos and destruction. In one of these worlds, where Bruce Wayne was already a bit of a loose cannon, the Joker kidnaps him and tortures him in true Joker fashion. But that's not enough for him, and he decides that physical torture isn't good enough to hurt good old Bruce, so the Joker goes around Gotham looking for couples with a child and recreates the scene where he kills Bruce's parents in front of him. Not only does the Joker use his venom on the children whose parents he killed, turning them into tiny Joker creatures, this is what triggers Batman and makes him jump the gun, breaking free and killing the Joker. With his dying breath, he infects Bruce with a type of Joker venom. This is very similar to what happens to Bruce in Batman: Arkham Knight. Bruce slowly begins to prepare for the inevitable, knowing he will turn into something evil, so he spends most of his time training the rest of the Bat family so they can kill him when the time comes. So he spends most of his time preparing the rest of the Bat family so they can finish him off. But it seems he transformed some time ago, because in one of these training sessions he simply kills everyone with machine guns while wearing that ever so familiar big smile on his face. The only people who could tip off the Justice League are now gone. It has been repeatedly shown that the Justice League frequently just leaves Bruce to his own devices, often allowing him to work without any control or scrutiny. This is because the Justice League has so many challenges to overcome, and each member is constantly facing their own adversaries. This is a significant mistake that cannot be undone. Keep in mind that the Justice League probably never batted an eye because they know Bruce is watching over the Bat family and that he slaughtered the entire Bat family a week earlier when they were gone and no one even noticed. This gives Batman a full week of famous prep time. But more importantly, he now has access to the Justice League Watchtower from his Batcave, which means he can see cameras, audio recordings, files, and updates at any time without leaving it. The Watchtower's systems he has set up with the intelligence of Wayne Enterprise and the constant updates are absolutely necessary for Batman to have even the slightest chance of going up against the Justice League members. But as I said, importantly, they didn't look for him, didn't suspect him, and gave him free access to the Justice League without any restrictions. Batman already knew their weaknesses, but before he could subdue them under the Joker's influence, he turned those knockouts into killshots. In the issue where L's origin is shown, there's a panel where we see the Justice League all lying dead in the same room, and it looks like it all just happened, which is the second major aspect of the panel that suggests the fight was one-sided, as practically every member is much stronger than him. This suggests that the fight was one-sided, as practically every member of the Justice League is much more powerful than him. Batman carefully chose the ideal moment to strike, ensuring that his attack left nothing to chance and left no one alive. If he had left even one person alive, it would have been his undoing. Batman only had one chance, and if he had made a mistake somewhere, it would likely have been too late. What was the Batman Who Laughs like before he killed the Joker of his universe? The Batman Who Laughs was very similar to the Batman of Earth Prime. Batman was exposed to a nanotoxin in the process that gradually changed him. It altered his way of thinking and corrupted his moral character, making him more similar to the Joker. Bruce Wayne, despite these changes, was able to maintain his extremely astute and calculating intelligence, as well as the organized and logical components of his mind, thus developing into a character with the marshalling skills and tactical diligence of Batman, as well as the Joker's immoral passion for chaos and madness. The Batman Who Laughs seems obsessed with winning and believes he can always defeat his enemies because he has let go of the self-imposed limitations that have prevented him from using more brutal and murderous techniques in the past. Batman Who Laughs was indeed able to adapt to different situations and triumph over all kinds of incredible adversities without his code limiting him, such as taking over the world. No, he literally took over the entire multiverse and became an all-powerful, cosmically aware god. Because Batman Who Laughs has already destroyed his own universe and has learned from many others, he can also be quite condescending. He is also extremely sadistic, and this trait of his is shown when he stops the Grim Knight from killing Jim Gordon so that he can suffer a much worse fate. And when he shows up before the Court of Owls with no other goal than to hear them all die screaming. Bruce is still one of the most terrifying villains of the DC universe, although it is believed that he did not choose to become a villain. Applying this reasoning, it seems that the Batman Who Laughs, despite his greater evil, is more tragic than the Joker. He believes that winning is the best thing to do, which in this case is winning, because he believes it's the only important action. If he were to adopt the Joker's perverse morality, even though it would be severely distorted, the laughing Batman might still have some sense of good and evil, as he was able to retain some of his previous thinking. Regarding his genius, this is no longer the case, as the laughing Batman has achieved cosmic awareness, as he is aware that what he did was wrong, but he still wants to cause chaos and destruction without remorse or any sense of consequence. However, if we put forward the theory that Batman and the Joker are two sides of the same coin, things get a bit more interesting and confusing. This Batman might be a repeat of what happens when the Joker's immorality outweighs even a touch. He might even be a repeat of how far he could actually go to achieve his goals, whatever they may be, by exploring some of his unique powers. All the preparation, discipline and experience of the earthly Batman are present in this Batman Who Laughs, who also knows the ins and outs of many superheroes and supervillains in the DC universe. Having already killed them all in his own universe, he can adapt to virtually any situation and possesses knowledge from the many different worlds he has visited. All of these qualities, along with the fact that people born in the dark multiverse have a very high resistance to attacks from people in the main multiverse, make the laughing Batman extremely dangerous. However, he does have some notable flaws. Both Nth Metal and Element X can cause him serious damage. The laughing Batman is still Batman, no matter how different he has become, and he can be caught off guard by circumstances Batman is unprepared for, such as when Batman and the Joker team up. This, coupled with his arrogance, makes it possible for him to be defeated by unexpected events. The miniseries, The Laughing Batman, reveals that the laughing Batman has the ability to discern people's desires, which he can use to figure out what he wants. However, in order to focus his senses and target the desired object, he must wear a dark metal visor. The laughing Batman has near omnipotent abilities at least equal to those of Manhattan, having absorbed the powers of another universe's drive Manhattan and resurfacing as the Darkest Knight, making him one of DC's most powerful adversaries. Since Manhattan was never truly defeated, but only convinced to change his plans, the Batman Who Laughs is blind. Why does he wear a visor with spikes? The Batman Who Laughs wears a visor with spikes over his eyes, and this has often made us wonder how on earth can he see well. We find out in a particular issue where there is an interaction between Batman and Alfred. Alfred is concerned for Bruce's well-being and removes his visor, revealing some damaged-looking red eyes. Bruce is immediately furious and demands the visor back. He can clearly see, however, what is with those eyes. In a particular frame in the comic, we see that this Bruce can see into the dark multiverse, meaning that when he looks at someone, he can also see their dark side, their fears and desires. The visor he wears is made of dark metal, and this allows him to ignore other visual impressions and focus on what he wants. Otherwise, it's probably overwhelming even for Bruce. Is it possible to kill him? That's a bit tricky. So, since the Batman Who Laughs is a creature of the dark multiverse, this means that he can technically be seen in almost the same way that Superman can be killed with kryptonite, and this has been demonstrated before. The fascinating thing, however, is that although this particular Batman Who Laughs can die, there's a possibility that another one will emerge in his place. Here, we're primarily talking about the idea of the Batman Who Laughs. It's entirely possible that another evil Batman will be born in another dark universe, or frankly, perhaps even several of them. This means that while the one we know who completely took over Gotham City will likely never be the only one, we recently saw an evil Batman even create a Batarang infused with a toxin that can transform other heroes and villains into the Laughing Batman. A prime example of this is when Superwoman saved Superman from such a Batarang and transformed herself into the Laughing Batwoman. This is essentially further proof of the theory that you don't even have to be from the dark multiverse to transform into one of these vile and evil Batmans. Literally anyone in the multiverse can become the Batman Who Laughs. You could almost call it a form of death. What happened to him after he died? The zombie form of the Batman Who Laughs. The Batman Who Laughs has teamed up with Perpetua, the evil architect of the universe, in a prequel to Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's death metal for The Dark Knight following his brutal attack on the DC Universe. Wonder Woman defeats him with a chainsaw of truth. And before I end, we'd like to recommend you read The Dark Knight: Rise of the New God. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a monologue in there that could be interpreted as the author speaking to us, the readers. This is purely hypothetical, though, at least it's a very interesting thought. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. And if you enjoy our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Give us some good tips, and take care of yourself. Thank you all.